Hi everyone, it's Dale, and I'm back again. This weekend, I attended an event held by Vanguardian Faz, who I'm probably sure some of you know of, especially in the British player base. Overall, I came ninth in Swiss, and top due to a technicality. Fourth place went home after about round 4, so he was still listed as being 4-2 and placing fourth on the same score that I was on. So I made it into the top cut, where I proceeded to lose in top 8. Not the greatest of things. I was, however, the highest placing Shadow Paladin player, and that is the deck that I will be bringing you today. I'll just go through a little bit the event. Round 1, I got a bye. Round 2, I played against Royals, which was playing Ashley and Atmile. Round 3 was the Nubatama Legion, which I lost to having my Perfect Guard binded and got critted. It happens. Round 4, I had Thingsaver Wingo Alfred. Again, another Royals. There were about 8 Paladin clans in total at the event. Again, I lost this to a crit and Thingsaver in about three times per turn. Round 5, I had Pale Moon. He was playing the old Silver Thorn Venus build. I won this through decking him out. His rainbow triggers did actually catch me off guard a little bit, but where I used to play Pale Moon, I kind of knew what was going on at any point. He went through Emil and Irina about twice every turn, so he ran out of deck pretty quickly. Then round 6, I played against D-Police, who was playing Break Ride and one of the Metal Borgs. He never saw the grade 3, well, any of his grade 3s, so I didn't get to stride, which is a bit upsetting. I just had to beat down with Claret's sword. Then in top cut, I had Cat Butler Risers. I lost as soon as he was able to Legion, because I was on 4 damage and couldn't stop 2 attacks from Riser. So I just had to hope that I saw one of the heal triggers that was left in the deck. Game 2, again, my opponent said that I had already won the game because he was opening pretty terrible, in his words. I proceed to get slammed by a Riser 4 times. Every single one got perfect guarded, and the last one got double crit, which went onto one of the rear guards, and I couldn't heal out of it at all because I had 1 left in deck, and I couldn't guard against 26k because I had 15 in hand and a grade 3. But that's pretty much what happens in this game. But anyway, onto the build. As usual, I'll cover grade 0s and go up through the grades. I was playing 3 David. Now, one of these, it will be the starting Vanguard. The other 2 are able to be called from deck. I play 3 because the GB1 skill allows it to be classed as 2 units when retiring for your own skills. So this makes the cost for Diablo and Aurageyser very minimal in terms of the retiring off your own units. Especially when Diablo requires 3 to retire, and this card automatically puts it down to 2. And even if I draw it, it's still a 10k shield, so it can be used for that as well. Onto the triggers. Playing 4 Ligand Lumina, 4 Undead Angel, and 4 Grim Avenger as my crit triggers. I opted to play 12 crit, not just because of the event was best out of 1 in Swiss, but because the way Aurageyser works pretty much punishes you for seeing draw triggers anyway. Because the turn you stride it, you're generally going to be getting an extra 4 cards out of Aurageyser, as well as Claret's sword skill. I had considered Howl purely at 1 for the fact that I can move to Soul to give something 3k, but at the same time, I don't particularly want to see the draw trigger. Especially when Legion's still a thing and I want more 10k guards. Strides are a thing, want more 10k guards. I mean, draw triggers obviously get me to things like Karma Collector incredibly quick, but I'd rather play a much more aggressive build. And of course, to finish up the trigger line, a 4 heal trigger. I'm playing, apart from the Grim Revenger, I'm playing all the new triggers that were released in the Legend deck still. Onto the grade 1s. For Karma Collector. This is the new Sentinel unit for Shadow Paladins. It's the one that allows you to unflip damage if there's another copy. You can use up your counterblasts incredibly quickly in this deck, so being able to unflip them through this during my opponent's turn through Karma Collector was incredibly helpful over the course of the event. 4-Night Sky Eagle. Now this card is pretty much like the best grade 1 in the entire deck. So GB1, when it's called, well, when it's placed on a rearguard circle, it gains 4k, making it 11k on GB1. This means it can hit more or less any Vanguard, and when called off of Claret Sword, it's 13k, so it can hit any cross ride. It's pretty much, as I mentioned, it's one of the best grade 1s purely for the fact that it's got the power that the deck doesn't have. Full Stride Enabler. This pretty much speaks for itself. Searches Claret Sword, lets me stride easier. And to finish up the grade 1s, I'm playing Sebmu, or whatever this thing's actually called. It's the GB1 10k booster. It makes Claret hit for potentially 31k, which causes quite a lot of guarding if I've used its skill. It's double crit as well. I'm going to move on to the grade 2s. Since the event, I have actually changed the grade 2 lineup because we got the new promo pack, which is 14, and I've been picking up the new Shadow Paladin from there. But I will still show you the actual lineup that I played for the event and show you the changes. For Fair Night Gual, it's the 10k vanilla. This really helped me out in the first Royal Paladin matchup because I opted to play the grade 2 game to prevent him from being able to stride. It really did upset the guy, but it's a good tactic to play. At the end of the match, he complained to me about it because he knew that I had 2 grade 3s in hand because he saw me search one of them out. But again, 10k vanillas are good purely for things like Eradicators, because there was someone playing them, I think, or anything that has an on-hit skill, especially on Vanguards. Things like 10ks prevent them from hitting, so they're pretty good. 3 Cursed Lancer. Quite an old card actually. It's one of the old damage unflippers, the on hit. So again, it gets my damage back. I mean, the counterblasting in this deck isn't massive, but you can get through it pretty quickly, and Cursed Lancer helps to get it all back. Now, I was playing 2 Macca, GB1 skill. It's basically the Amber clone. When it's boosted, search for a grade 1, call it to rearguard. And Scornful Knight Guyver. GB1, she's basically the main. Counterblast 1, ditch card, draw 2. Guyver caused me to lose the match against Nubatama even worse, because I drew double crit, which probably would have got me game, because I don't think he guarded that turn. So, unfortunately, I lost through drawing. All 4 of these will be replaced, because they did literally nothing over the entire event. One of the Maccas needs to become this guy, who is now in the deck, which is the new Balberith. GB1, he's 12k when he attacks. It makes up for the power that Shadow Paladins are lacking in the Grade 2 department. Because pretty much everything's just made up of the 10k Vanilla and Cursed Lancer. Maka doesn't put in enough work by herself, and everything that Maka does, Claret Sword does for you anyway. I mean, against the Pale Moon guy, I did do a pretty nice little combo using Maka. I attacked with the Badbakar without boosting it. Then I attacked with Maka, called out a new unit over the Badbakar, so I now had a 14k column. So that was quite a nice little play. But it was it was the only time it happened throughout the whole course of the weekend, so it's not something I'd want to rely on, so Maka will be coming out the deck. On to Grade 3s. 4 Claret Sword. This is the stride break of the deck. It's GB2 skill. Choose 2 of my rear guards and retire them, and it gains 10k and a crit till the end of the turn. This combined in with the GB1 booster, as I mentioned, means that Claret Sword can now be 31k, or it can just be 21k if I don't use the skill. And its stride break skill is, when you stride, Counterblast 1, call a grade 1 or less, and it gains 10k. So this obviously makes Night Sky Eagle 13k, or I can call out the GB1 booster, which would make it 12k for the turn, while boosting the Vanguard. And then my backup Grade 3 is Badbakar. I think the backup Grade 3 is kind of irrelevant to anything the deck needs to do. It's Maka, which doesn't need to be boosted, so it provides more pressure as well on the rearguard. I think I had to call this out against the D-Police guy, because I wasn't seeing any Grade 2s, just all Grade 3s. So if he had managed to stride, or even see a Grade 3, I would have been in a lot of trouble. He refused to G-assist throughout the entire game, because he couldn't stride on the same turn. And obviously G-assisting would probably put him to Grade 3, which means I could have strode. However, he was on Grade 2 for about 6-7 turns. Even if he had G-assisted, he wouldn't have seen anything, but it would have given him the reshuffle, which might have helped him. Onto the strides. For Diablo, I covered Diablo last time. It's Persona Flipper, gains 10k and a crit, and when it attacks, I can retire 3 of my Shadow Paladins. I think it's just retire 3 of my units. Yeah, it's just 3 units. For my opponent to then have to choose 2 of their rear guards, retire them, or they can't call cards from hand to the Guardian Circle. Which, against decks that don't pretty much put units on board, this is quite devastating to them. The Royal Paladin guy that I played guarded 1 to pass against Diablo, and I ended up hitting the only trigger I'd seen all day. Well, what felt like all day anyway. I kept drawing all my triggers rather than checking into them. But I hit the crit, so Diablo went through for 3 damage and winning the game. And then on to the other stride, which is Supremacy Black Dragon, Aurageyser Dragon. Its stride skill is when it attacks, I Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, flip a copy of itself, and retire 2 units. Again, with David being the starter, pretty much all that cost is filled on the rearguard. Then I reveal the top 2 cards of the deck, and it gains 5k for every Grade 1 or less revealed, and I get to add those to my hand. So I get to add 2 and triple drive off this 1 card alone. It's really good for the early game advantage, but at the same time I don't want to see triggers off the actual skill. I want to see my Grade 2 units, because obviously it won't gain the trigger effects that it reveals, which is obviously a big problem. When set 4 comes out, Aurageyser Dragon gets an upgraded form, which is Aurageyser Damned. I'll probably be playing that one, along with 3 other copies of Aurageyser, because I pretty much never went into the second Aurageyser. I'd always go into the second Diablo. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this, and when set 4 comes out, which I think is it's October, November, I think, I'll be bringing you an update on what I'm doing with Shadow Paladins. But however, we do have the new Bermuda box coming out in August, so that might be the next video you see. Until then, guys, have fun, and yeah, have fun.